There are only 2 rounds left in the 2018 SCRS Winter Stock Car Series, and tonight we race at the 2-mile banked Michigan Oval here in Michigan. And Finian, tonight, it's the penultimate round of the 2018 season, and Eric Mickey is back here tonight, and with a couple more cars than the last couple weeks, and we get to finally broadcast this series once again. Obviously, Richmond a couple weeks ago was the last time we broadcasted this group, and unsurprisingly, it was, I believe, Cameron Rich in the number 2 that took home that victory there. Tonight, again, 2 miles around this great racetrack, and Finian, this place is fast.
Yeah, and the 2 weeks we're absent, Robbie Vrabel, we haven't talked about him in a while.
We'll go with Vrabel.
Vrabel, yes.
Sure.
He was the winner at the Charlotte Roval. Chuck Sweeting won at Chicagoland, so both were able to improve their points positions there. But we go into this race with Cameron Rich leading the points, 9 points over Eric Mickey, and 21 points over Jeff Hollingsworth in your top 3.
Jeff Hollingsworth in that number 97 had a pretty good run at Richmond a few weeks ago, the last time we broadcasted this group. He is in the lone Toyota here tonight, a little bit of a lonely feeling for that number 97. O'Reilly Auto Parts on the hood of that car as he works his way through qualifying right now, and has not laid down a lap time just yet, but we're about to see what a lap around here looks like, and pretty fast speeds around here. I see some damage on the right front fender of that car, and I imagine he's been into the fence at least once or twice. And up to second place he goes. A very fast lap with a 38.819, but he's going to be bested by Chuck Sweeting in the number 5. Matt White in the number 70. Lowe's on board that car, coming across the line to lay down his first lap, and that'll push him all the way up to, looks like that'll be 6th place for Matt White. Probably not what he wanted, as there's only 8 cars that have taken time, and White has already backed down the power, so he's going to be committed to that lap time. So he'll be starting probably deeper in the field than he would like. Still Jake Champion, David Wilson, Dakota Ehrman, Cameron Rich, Jason Odom, and Darwin Meintz, as well as Dalton England still out there on the racetrack. There's Dalton England in the number 19 car, working his way through. And when we talk about Michigan Speedway, this place is fast not only in the Cup cars, but also in the Xfinity cars. And right now, 192 miles an hour across the line for Dalton England that time through. Let's ride on board here for a lap of Michigan.
Yeah, I mean, it's very uncommon to have the Xfinity cars go to almost 200 miles an hour, except on super speedway. So this track is amazingly fast.
See England down the back straightaway now. Very empty over there in the Turn 3 and Turn 4 area as the grandstands were removed a couple of years ago. And with that came a repave as well that significantly gripped up the racetrack. And it's not uncommon to see Cup cars going over 215 miles an hour off into Turn 1. Obviously, the Xfinity car's lacking a little bit of power. And as we continue to watch England cross the line here, we'll see where he jumps up on the grid. And that will be, looks like 10th place for England. He'll probably go for another lap here, enter a little bit higher. And this is another racetrack, Finian, can also be multi-groove sometimes, but I think a lot of drivers will probably be about 1.5 lanes to 3 lanes up from the bottom of the racetrack there.
Yeah, and I think we should take a look at the temperature also. It is amazingly hot at the moment.
113 degrees on the track. That's probably going to fall here a little bit, Finian. Obviously, a little bit of cloud cover in the area as well. You see the track bathed in shadow at the moment.
Yeah, actually, it's now down to 112, but it was at, when I just started looking at it, as soon as the clouds came over, it was 116. And fell below that within less than a minute. So definitely the track temperature is going to change. It's going to affect the handling of these cars, especially considering how fast they're going.
90 laps on store tonight. Eric Mickey in that number 8 car. Again, probably going to be one of the cars to beat. He's very good at this place. And he's going to have to beat out some other really fantastic drivers. Obviously, Cameron Rich, the current points leader by 9 points over Eric Mickey. And with one little accident, that whole point situation could tumble in Eric Mickey's favor heading into the final round next week. So everyone gritting up for the moment right now. But again, 90 laps on store tonight, Finian, 180 miles. We're going to expect a couple pit stops as well. And this place will probably race almost like a pack race here. A lot more draft in these cars because they have significantly more downforce than the Cup cars do. And how does that change a driver strategy?
I think these guys are going to probably be a little bit more aggressive just because they're finally able to really be aggressive. The old surface was pretty abrasive on the tires, and you really just couldn't maintain as much speed, and especially considering the pack racing dynamic that we're going to see a bit of, especially in the early parts of this race. I think everyone's going to try to use that draft to their advantage as much as possible to gain some spots early on.
All right, the field is almost entirely gridded up, just waiting for Odom in the number 48 to get his car on the grid, lined up in order sideways on the pit lane. I think that's probably one of the coolest features on some of the newer ovals here within iRacing. You see that curb there on the right in pit lane. That's not something you're going to want to hit, but plenty of space around here. I've never heard anyone say that Michigan made them feel claustrophobic. This place is absolutely enormous. You can look from high above. You could basically land an airplane on the back straightaway with how wide it is, completely paved all the way down to the wall. But we've seen a lot of times, Finney, a lot of incidents on the back straightaway. You'd think that this is very much like a super speedway in the sense that a lot of the accidents happen on the straightaways and not in the corners with all the jockeying that goes on.
Yeah, and really, I think most of that has to do with coming out of turns 2 mostly, but definitely stuff can happen out of 4. But I think turn 2 is just a trouble spot as all the lines on the track typically merge towards the wall, and that's where we're going to see guys potentially get into each other or even the wall, and that's where we might see some problems arise.
Obviously, a couple of guys didn't qualify that we would have expected. Cameron Rich is one of them. He'll be starting pretty deep in the field. Vrabel in the number 60 will be starting up towards the front. Let's take a look at our starting grid for tonight's race. On the front row, Robbie Vrabel Jr. in the number 60 Chevrolet Camaro, alongside Dakota Ehrman in the number 49, also in a Camaro tonight. Jason Odom in the number 48 Camaro, alongside Chuck Sweeting in the number 5. Those guys will be on row number 2. Both of those guys in Camaros as well. A lot of Camaros in the field here tonight. One Ford, one Toyota also populating the field. And one of those Toyotas, Jeff Hollingsworth in the number 97. You see him there in row number 3 alongside Eric Mickey in the number 8 Camaro. Thomas Morris in the 99 starting 7th alongside Matt White in that Lowe's number 70 car. And Morris in the lone Mustang in the field here tonight. Jonathan Mazzella in the 93 starting alongside Dalton England back there in row number 5. As the field works their way through turns 3 and 4. That's your top 10. We'll move on back to number 11. I gotta turn my voice chat off. I forgot about that. Out of turn 4. Now that we got that all sorted out. 90 laps at Michigan. We are green, and the number 60 takes off on the inside groove. The 49 starting alongside him. That's Dakota Ehrman. Everyone trying to scramble to find places to go on the start of this race.
And we're seeing everyone fan out across the track trying to look for some place to go. And you can see guys almost 3 wide already on the start.
Trying to get space really early as they can, because it's going to get harder and harder to get track position once the field gets themselves sorted out. See Eric Mickey duking and diving back there. He's got himself into 5th place already, trying to get 4th from Jeff Hollingsworth in that number 97 Toyota, who dives to the inside of the M&M's colored car of Odom in the 48.
Yeah, it's 3 wide mid-pack between the 99, the 70, and the 5.
And trying to get themselves sorted out again. This is a place where you can very safely go 3 wide here, Finian, but I think a lot of the times it comes down to the corners and trying to arc your entry, especially once the tires wear out. There's going to be a lot less give and a lot more take.
Yeah, Matt White definitely is one of those drivers.
Oh, we got one in the wall, Finian. Sorry to cut you off there. It was, I believe it was that red car there, the number 2. That was Cameron Rich who got into the fence out of turn 2. Big damage to the right front of that car.
Yeah, it looks like he was fighting the car being a little bit loose, got into the wall, and then got hit from behind by the number 3, the Darwin Mintz. So, already damage to the number 2 car. Yeah,
just slight contact between him and the 3, but a pretty big hit to the right side fender, and that's going to hurt him, especially because aerodynamics here, extremely important. Just up the road, though, still a battle going on. Dalton England in the 19, trying to hold off Chuck Sweeting in the 5. Chuck started in 4th, already back to 8th, so not a great start for that number 5 Camaro.
Dalton England looking to make a pass on Matt White. Is they're going to fight for 6th place?
And speaking of fighting, let's head up the road just a little bit. Vrabel Jr. has pulled out to a little bit of a lead, but Ehrman, Odom, and Mickey locked in a battle for that 2nd spot. You see the 48 and 49 side by side right now. That 48 car charging forward to try to get that spot away.
Looks like Odom's going to take the pass here. He's going to move up into 2nd place. He's going to drop the 49 back into the clutches of Eric Mickey, who looks like he's taking no prisoners, and he's trying to move up a lot of spots. Starting in 6th, already up to 4th.
Odom did not get a great exit out of turn number 2, and Ehrman closes right back up, but stays in line for now. Eric Mickey closes the gap, drops to the bottom here, Finian. I think maybe 10-15 laps until the tires start to wear out enough to get some multiple grooves running.
I think so, but actually there was a big spin in turn 1 involving Matt White. He was pretty much sideways and drifted through 1 and 2.
We'll go back and check that out. And he was on the outside of Dalton England. Whoa, big netcode hit there. And that's what caused that, but no damage there. An incredible job saving that car, getting it back down under his control, and he'll maintain dead last right now, but obviously could have been a lot worse, and he's still in touch with the pack.
Yeah, and he unfortunately he's gonna that's gotta suck for him. He was running in 6th before that happened. Now back as you said in last in 15th, so he's gonna have to move up some spots. But definitely it could have been a lot worse, and he's gonna probably hope for a caution just to kind of get him back on some good footing.
Jonathan Mazzella in the number 93, up 1 spot from his starting spot in 9th. He's got Jake Champion right behind him, and Thomas Morris right off the nose, but you see Morris driving away a little bit, and Morris had a little bit of a rough run a couple weeks ago when we last broadcasted at Richmond Raceway, and trying to redeem himself a little bit tonight in that number 99, in 7th right now, trying to get himself farther forward. For the lead here, though. Odom is catching Vrabel Jr. Caught him about 500ths last time through, and might even be more this time, and we'll take a look at the lap times as they cross the line. For Vrabel, it will be, crosses the line here, a 39.327, a 39.358 for Odom, so almost dead even at the line that time through.
Yeah, a little bit of that gap is definitely kind of evened out between both of them. But looking behind, it is pretty close. The only one that's really closing is Eric Mickey behind all these guys up front.
We know that Mickey really needs to capitalize on this night. With where Kevin Rich is running right now, that gets that point deficit down to about, I believe, he was back 9 points. About 2 or 3 points between those two right now in terms of the championship lead. So this is big. If Eric Mickey can capitalize on Cameron Rich's early struggles, this could be a swap in the point standings for Eric Mickey and Cameron Rich.
I'm sure Mickey would love the race to end right now as it is, and take that advantage that he would have over Rich going into the last round. But he's going to have to still go for a little over 80 laps till the finish, as we're far from being over. And actually, here comes the 97 of Jeff Hollingsworth on the inside of Eric Mickey.
Got a great run out of turn number 2. To the inside he goes. Will he be able to complete the pass? Yes, he does. Drives it in real deep into the corner. Mickey falls back a spot, but you see Mickey now apexing lower and later than the 97. He's going to get a great run onto the front straightaway as the 97 pushes up, comes across the nose to block the move, but almost was unsuccessful with that. Mickey will tuck in line for the drive.
Yeah, I'm sure this isn't what Mickey wanted. He wants to be going forward, not backward, and he's also got Dalton England creeping up in his rear mirror.
Really, cars separated into 3 and 4 car groups at the moment. The lone car that is not a part of one is Cameron Rich, who is leading a 4-car group at the rear with Darwin Meitz, Matt White, David Wilson, and Chad Brown. And right now, Meitz and White side by side for 13th place.
Yeah, and remember White trying to make up some ground that he lost earlier, fell back all the way to the tail end of the pack, now trying to fight for 12th with Darwin Meitz.
Oh, a little bit of a scramble on the front straight here. Mazzella just in front of the battle with Thomas Morris, Jake Champion, and Chuck Sweeting. There were 3 wide there on the front straightaway, but got themselves sorted out before the corner. Now Mazzella and Morris are side by side through 1 and 2, trying to get themselves sorted. And 99 will carry that run from the outside. Now Chuck Sweeting will use his to get to the inside of Jake Champion in the 26. And they're very close door-to-door in 3 and 4. A lot of racetrack to play with here, Finian, but really the racing line is pretty narrow in the middle of the track.
Yeah, I was talking with Thomas Morris, and he was saying that pretty much it's pretty much only one line around the track, and I think we're seeing guys starting to gravitate towards that.
You can see really where the track is darker, kind of rubbered in there already by the rest of this weekend's activities. And Hollingsworth up to 4th, started in 5th, so he's up a spot. Eric Mickey in the number 8 car also up 1 spot as well. Dalton England started 10th, up to 6th now, so +4 for him. And right on the bumper of Eric Mickey, looking outside on corner exit.
Yeah, so I got two distinct 3-car packs up towards the front.
Drives right in on the spoiler of the 8 of Eric Mickey. And obviously, aero push not a significant deal here. As you see the 97 and 8 side by side now for 4th place. But it's going to be enough where you're going to have to consider that, especially on older tires, the lack of downforce that you'll have following someone into the corner.
Yeah, that's where we start to see guys maybe start to poke out just half in their nose just to get some air to their car, so that way they can rotate better with some added downforce. And that's where these guys are going to try to move. Dalton England gets a big wiggle off of 4.
Up front, Vrabel's been run down by Odom, and Ehrman is right there as well. So the front 3 all locked in a nose-to-tail battle. I think the position for second is probably going to swap before the lead. And as I say that, the 60 car pushes wide out of turn 2. And here comes Odom to the inside. He'll make a run at it here.
Yeah, Odom set up a pretty good run in between 1 and 2. And now into 3 and 4, he's going to dive to the inside. Almost hit the 60 as Vrabel tries to pinch him down. But Odom looks like he's going to get a better run off the corner.
And the 49 of Dakota Ehrman trying to follow the 48 car through. All the way down to the apron. The 60 is going to hold him down there. Defensive line maneuver for the 60, but he lets him back up onto the track before they get down to turn 1. A wise move there, because that shallow line into turn 1 means they're going to push up, as you see the 48 car do right there. Oh, out of turn 2. You can't slip a piece of paper between these cars as they rocket off turn 2 at 180 miles an hour.
Oh, and the 49 behind them, Dakota Ehrman, looks like I was curious of where he's going to go. He's going to settle in behind the 48 and going to continue on in 3rd. As Odom tries to look to the outside, maybe trying to just use a little bit more conservative of the line. But yeah, we saw Vrabel there pinching him down. That seems to be very effective for these guys to use.
Now side by side for second. It's how quickly you can come under attack. This place is all about momentum here. Not a lot of brakes. You're really just lifting off the throttle, maybe using a little bit of brake just to rotate the car around. But your momentum is king here, and not losing it is so important, as we saw with the 48. Entered 1 corner shallow, and he was slow for about 3/4 of a lap.
Notably in the midfield, the 2 packs are kind of merged in on each other. Now it's pretty much a 7-car pack rowing together. That's going to be positions 3 to about 10th. Sorry, positions 4 to 10th, all in one big pack.
Yeah, Jake Champion is at the rear of this pack in the number 26 Camaro. You can see that 3-car lead pack way up the road, and then from Eric Mickey on back to Champion. All in a line here, and this is kind of what we expected. This looks so much like the experimental package that we saw at Michigan earlier this year in the Xfinity Series, and you see now the 5-car Sweeting popping out on Thomas Morris, but battle for second still going on. Here comes Ehrman back to the inside of Odom, and he'll probably get this spot if he can clear the 48, and he does.
Yeah, looks like Odom's not going to put up too much of a fight. Looks like he's going to just let him get the position, maybe trying to let the 49 do the dirty work and trying to find a way around Vrabel.
Looking on from the rear of the leader right now. You can see Ehrman closing in. Getting on throttle a little bit sooner than the 49, but won't be able to outrun the little bit of slipstream that you'll get. Can keep you in touch. As long as you can match the pace in the corners, you'll get a little bit of a tow down the back straight. Excellent shots here from the rear bumper of the 60.
And Ehrman right in the tail, right in behind Vrabel, not even looking high or low, just right in behind his shadow. So it looks like he's just kind of following around the track.
Oh, a little bit tight for both those guys out of turn number 2, and Odom will use that as an advantage there. But we saw just back here in P6, Dalton England took a look out on Jeff Hollingsworth, but didn't really have anything to do in terms of going to pass the 97. So I think that was a little bit of a mind game there, just to get out of the mirror of the 97, make him look up. And maybe you can fool him later in the run. So I like the experimentation going on by the 19. You see him popping out of line again here. Maybe see if he can fake the 97 to get down to that white line and defend for turn 1, throwing off his corner entry. And Mazzella drops out of line, try to get around Thomas Morris in the number 99 Mustang. That second pack is really grouping up, Finian, but they are not really making up time on that lead group.
No, I think it's going to be hard for them to do. I just don't think that they really, unless they got outright pace, they're not going to be able to do much to really kind of work their way up. They can't do a kind of switch, you know, have the guy in the front go to the back and use the draft that much, because there is a draft here definitely, but it's not powerful enough to really kind of work together to get back to the front. So I think they're just going to need really just outright pace or maybe a little bit of pit strategy to kind of find their way back up to the lead.
And speaking of pit strategy, limited fuel tanks here, so at some point they'll have to come on down and take their first pit stop of the night. And
yeah,
see how
probably going to see these guys come down within 10 laps.
And Vrabel was loose out of turn 2, and that gives the 49 car a run to the inside. Here comes Dakota Ehrman off into turn 3, drives it in deep, side-by-side, quarter panel to fender, and they're nose-to-nose with the 48 of Odom looking on from behind.
Yeah, Odom has really been quiet after that pass he tried to make on Vrabel earlier in the run. He's just kind of been sitting in third, not really doing anything, but Ehrman's got a good run to the inside here.
They were nose-to-nose at the line, but Ehrman eked out Robbie Vrabel Jr., and now will clear the 60 out of turn number 2 and try to drive him all the way up to the wall. The 60's in the wall! Hard hit for Vrabel as he comes out of turn 2. Behind him, the 97 and Eric Mickey are side-by-side, but the big story of that moment there was the 60 car, the leader of the race, pounded the outside wall and has significant right front damage.
Oh, Mickey's being swallowed up here. He's got the 5 of Chuck Sweeting to his inside and had the 19 of England to his outside at a moment.
There was a little bit of contact there between the 5 and the 8, but they got it all sorted out. But Vrabel's going to be really off pace now with that right front damage, and that might have actually bent his suspension a little bit. Certainly not going to help him later in the race. And all the order that was there a minute ago is turned the entropy of the universe around Michigan Speedway into some chaos. And they're trying to get themselves sorted back in line, but another loser of that whole scenario was Thomas Morris, dropped another spot, and will get back in line in 9th place.
Yeah, one driver really haven't talked about much since the drop of the green flag is the 2 of Cameron Rich, who's been actually coming down pit road.
Yeah, he's coming down pit lane and bringing David Wilson in the 28 with him here. This is going to be a strategy call. I do think that it would probably be worth his time to maybe fix a little bit of that right front damage. It seems to be hurting his performance a little bit, but he still has a better lap than some of the drivers in the field. And he's got some big rear damage too as well.
So I had to back up into his pit stall, but yeah, ever since he got the damage, has been really struggling back in the pack. So he's really going to need to throw something out the window and hope that it sticks, because he's really running out of options.
And another one coming to pit road, the Chuck Sweeting car, the number 5 Camaro.
Oh, Jake Champion missed his pit road.
Oh, we got to take a quick look at that. Oh, he tried. Oh, that's going to be a big hit for him, track position-wise. Could not quite get down to pit lane. And we'll see when the leaders come on down. Been 24 laps since the start of this race and since the last time they pitted. Ooh, Odom goes real wide in turns 3 and 4.
Yeah, I think he's starting to lose a bit of his tires, but leaders coming down pit road, Dakota Ehrman.
Whoa, and Vrabel's charging hard. Does he make it into the pits? Just barely to actually take the lead, or what will eventually be the lead away from the 49 car. That was a very, very well done execution there, coming down to pit lane, maximizing all the braking power inside that Camaro.
It's amazing he was able to get that woe down in time, but he was able to. It was a fantastic job from that 60 car.
It was a scary moment. He almost missed the commitment line area, but got it in. So now the question becomes, when does Odom come in? Again, he was kind of following those 2 leaders and avoided all that carnage when the 60 hit the wall. And he's going to be in a pretty good spot, but he has to come down now to not lose too much time. It's about 2 seconds is the difference between the lap times earlier and later. Here comes Eric Mickey, Mazzella, and Thomas Morris all together.
And most of the field coming in this time.
And so now the question becomes who will get the lead as they cycle out, and it's going to be between the 49 and the 60. The 60 car, though, probably spending some time fixing some damage, and yep, it was a long pit stop. It was, I didn't actually see, it's missing on my graphic here, but it shows that his entire pit lane time was 52 seconds, 12 seconds longer than most other drivers. So he took the time to fix that damage, but he's going to be really in trouble if there's no caution. Eric Mickey's going to lose a spot on pit lane to Thomas Morris. Slow stop for the 8 car. So now, I believe, after this is all cycled out, Chuck Sweeting has actually cycled to the lead. And that puts Dakota Ehrman in second, and Jason Odom to third. So Chuck Sweeting had a phenomenal pit stop sequence. A good stop and a good pit lane time. And everyone has pitted, I believe. So yeah, that puts Chuck Sweeting in control. He was pretty far back, so that was a very impressive sequence.
Yeah, I think just maximizes pit row entries. We saw Vrabel was able to get in very deep, and a lot of guys are being a little bit too conservative. And I think that's probably where Sweeting made up much of his time. So fantastic job there on that pit cycle by that number 5 car.
Well, it's a fine line to pit at a speedway, and we saw even last night at Chicagoland Speedway, Finney and you and I mean, how difficult it is to get down to some of the oval pit lanes from a green flag situation. You see the 97 of Jeff Hollingsworth going for third on the inside of Odom. A lot of the racetracks, the pit lane is a lot farther left than you would think, and we saw, I believe it was Matt White in the 70 miss pit road, so it's a very fine line, and Vrabel almost did. He just got a little bit lucky with getting that car pulled all the way down to the inside. But another driver that's going to be hurting for sure is Cameron Rich. Also, I believe, took some time, actually pitted again. Made a second pit stop, I'm assuming a penalty? It's only showing a 4.8 second stop, so it looks like he did come in for something.
Yeah, I have no, your guess is better than mine. I have no clue. I'm guessing maybe he forgot to take fuel, or maybe to top off on fuel or tires. I have no clue.
But he's in trouble because Chuck Sweeting is only a couple seconds behind him, and that will put Cameron Rich a lap down. And if there's no caution, Finian, that's going to be race over for Rich. And look at where Eric Mickey is running. Right now, he's in 7th. Again, that's an 8-spot deficit. That means there's a 1-point gap in the point standings right now for that top spot with 1 race remaining after tonight. I don't think Cameron Rich came in here expecting to leave at a points deficit to the 8 of Eric Mickey. And if they leave dead even, that means that it's going to be winner take all next week. And so I think obviously Cameron needs to turn this night around if he wants a chance to run for the championship next week, if Eric Mickey has 2 good weeks in store.
Yeah, and I think I found out why Cameron Rich came down pit road. He emerged too quickly onto the track and probably got a stop and go for that. So that's why he made a second trip down.
So a penalty issued for the 2 car of Cameron Rich, and that is why he came down for a second stop. See Jonathan Mazzella and the 8 of Eric Mickey trading spots for 6th at the moment.
Yeah, Mickey had a pretty poor pit cycle, got put back in 8th when they came back out, has now driven himself back up into 6th place and looking for more. So Mickey recovering from that. And again, this is a prime opportunity. His championship rival is currently struggling. And if he can get as many points as possible tonight, it'll only help him next week
I think,
at the finale.
I think it's absolutely necessary that he has a good run tonight here, Finian, because obviously we know how hard Cameron Rich is to beat. And I think going into next week with at least the expectation that you just have to finish ahead of him, I think that makes things a lot easier than having to finish 6, 7, or 8 spots ahead of him in the finale. So I don't think it's not often you see Cameron Rich make a mistake, and tonight a mistake early in the race, and actually just now, a couple laps ago, has put Rich at a big disadvantage. And right now, as they are running, they would be tied for the top spot in the point standings. Up for the lead, though, Dakota Ehrman has tracked down Chuck Sweeting and has brought Odom with him in the number 48 car. So the top 3, again, have closed in on each other. And that just goes to show you, Finney, how the draft kind of brings cars together in little packs. You see 3 cars there, 2 cars behind them, and another 4-car group, and then another 2-car group. So no single cars running all by themselves unless you're Cameron Rich. Most of the field is grouped up together.
Yeah, pretty much so. I'm trying to find where Vrabel is. And he's all the way back in 13th.
Yeah, 13th place. Took some time to fix the damage, though, so if there is a caution, he'll be in at least somewhat closer to on pace than he was after that smack in the wall out of turn 2. Now for the lead, here comes the 49 of Dakota Ehrman, looking almost to the outside, got that nose peeked out right on the rear bumper of Chuck Sweeting. You got to be careful when you're tucked in behind. Now you see the 48 dropping to the inside. It's very hard to see when you're behind someone that close, and now we have a 3-way battle for the lead. The 48 and 49 side by side for second.
Yeah, these guys going at it right now, again, using the tires while they're fresh. And Odom's going to be wasting no time getting around Ehrman, and we'll see what he has for Chuck Sweeting now in the next 2 turns.
He's going to carry a run down the back straightaway now, 180, 190 to the inside. He'll take a look, 196 he taps out at and goes for the lead off into turn 3, and he'll take it. He clears the 5 car and will bring Dakota Ehrman in the 49 alongside the 5 at the very least.
Yeah, Odom did a great job making that pass, but now again, does he have enough to defend? We saw him kind of struggle to get clear of Rabel earlier in the run, and now he's got 2 hungry drivers behind him.
And Dakota Ehrman is not a slow driver right now, although I will say that Chuck Sweeting has a slower overall best lap time, and the quickest of the group, I believe, is that 48 car, a 38.930, and he is the quickest, or he has the quickest lap on the board. So that 48 car technically is the quickest guy out here. Let's see if he can run away from Ehrman.
Actually, of note, Jeff Hollingsworth looks like he's catching up this lead pack. Has been running a little bit faster than them each lap, and has been slowly reeling them in about a 10th or 2.
And again, the leaders still closed up on each other. But you mentioned Hollingsworth closing in. Last time by was 0.2 quicker than Sweeting, so he might have third here in a couple laps. But we might have a switch for the lead, and that's going to slow down the leaders. Anytime you run side by side, you're scrubbing off speed and allowing drivers from behind to catch up. Dalton England in the 19 is also waiting in the wings when these guys get back together.
Yeah, I'm sure Hollingsworth is loving that these guys are starting to fight a little bit. It's just kind of helping his effort in closing the gap to them. And as in the lead, Ehrman looking to the inside of Odo, but can't really get a run done.
See Cameron Rich in shot there, still losing time, at least 0.2 a lap to the leaders, and he is in trouble if this goes green for too much longer, as the leaders are bearing down and putting Cameron Rich a lap down, and that is not a sentence I usually say.
Yeah, and I mean, again, the odds of having a caution right now are very slim to none. Usually, most of the people in the race are kind of running in 1-2 car packs. So everyone's kind of separated at the moment. Probably the most separated they have been all race long. So this is the lowest opportunity we're going to have for a caution at this point.
Track temp is up to 120 degrees, though, Footy, and so maybe on older tires there could be a little bit more instability in the setup. But obviously these Class B cars tend to be on the understeery side of the setups and not so much oversteer like we see in the Cup Series. So what that means is that these cars tend to be more stable, even if they are a little bit slower in the corners. Closing in on lap 40, and 45 will be our halfway point, so we're about 8 laps away from that. And pit stop's coming up in a little bit as well. We pitted around lap 25 again, so in about 10 to 12 laps we'll see the field peel on down pit road once more. And Jake Champion is actually, I believe, has he pulled off the track there, Fitting, or has he lost connection?
I'm not sure.
Is it a manual disconnect, or is it a...
No, he hasn't disconnected as of yet, so I think it might be an internet issue.
Man, that's going to be a big shame.
A very bad one. Yeah, it says he hasn't disconnected from the server yet, but I think he's probably in danger of doing so if this continues for much longer.
Yeah, he just dropped another spot and is now the last car on the racetrack, so Jake Champion going to be out of this for now, at least scored 1 lap down. Cameron Rich in 14th is now under the gun. You see him just in front of the leaders up the road. He is in trouble, but as drivers drop out with either connection issues or, crashes, that's going to bring the 2 car closer to Eric Mickey. And right now, just with that swap, Cameron Rich maintains a 1-point lead over Eric Mickey with Jake Champion dropping out of this race.
Yeah, and he has just lost connection to the server. Hopefully he can get back in, maybe try to position himself back in this race. But yeah, that's unfortunate for the 26, who's having a pretty decent run before that happened to him.
Thomas Morris in the lone Ford Mustang here tonight. I almost said Fusion out of habit. Running in 7th place right now. You see Eric Mickey just up the road. So as they run, Eric Mickey would need a top 5 to tie Cameron Rich for the points lead heading into next week's race. I almost forgot that they see Mazzella go by there and take 7th place away. I forgot that the Ford has different sounds than the Camaro and the Camry does.
Yeah, it does, and I mean, there usually aren't enough Mustangs to really be able to hear the difference. It's usually mostly Camaros.
Almost gives a push to the 93 off into turn number 3. But for the lead, still, Ehrman all over Odom for the lead. And these drivers are teammates, so I don't think we'll see too much funny business.
99 in the wall.
Oh, Morris. Oh, he must have knocked it down. About 10 miles an hour off the pace. Let's go take a look. We'll watch on board from the rear of Mazzella. Just got in the throttle too soon. And, oh, yep, big impact there. Not as big as we saw with the 60 car, so that shouldn't affect his handling too much. But what it will do is bring him really out of the fight with the 93, and he might lose that draft. As for the lead, we got a pass going on. Ehrman to the inside of Odom. Change for position, 49 of the lead.
Yeah, really, Odom just gave him all the room in the world. I think he knew that it was coming. I think he's probably tired of being the lead, or just kind of easing himself out of the lead and just kind of riding in behind the 49.
And again, these drivers are teammates, so maybe just a little bit of a team deal made there to let the 49 lead a couple laps. But out of turn 2, Ehrman will extend his lead to 0.2 of a second. And you see Cameron Rich getting closer and closer in frames.
And what we are also getting closer and closer to is a second round of pit stops. I think probably within 7 laps or so.
I think that's likely. About lap 48 is when I would think we'd start to see that. And Cameron Rich probably would like to be the first one down to get a little bit of a jump on the drivers behind. But again, there's strategies to be played out here. So I don't think he can be too rash with his decisions. Dalton England, Eric Mickey closer and closer for 5th place. Again, if Mickey passes England, that will put him tied for the points lead again. So this is an important pass if he can get around England. Maybe he'll try to do it under the pit stop sequence.
Yeah, and we'll see what Mickey does, and he has been slowly making up from the mistake that he made under the pit stop sequence. As I think overall too, just kind of caught up to the leaders over the course of this run. Feels like he's reeled them in a bit. So we'll see what Mickey can do, and again, he needs to maximize as much as he can this week going into next week, and I think he definitely knows that, and is putting on a pretty good drive at the moment.
Cameron Rich has gone 1 lap down, and has actually let quite a few cars by here, and is just kind of pulling over, and he's off throttle, only pulling about 170. Vrabel!
Built it to the wall and sideways.
Was it England in the wall, you said?
England.
I saw a blue car, and I immediately switched to Vrabel thinking it was him, and I saw him slow, but Vrabel is in the pit lane. Well, let's take a look at what happened to the 19. Oh, did he get hooked? Did he get hit from behind the 8 car? 8 car's got some...
No, he's gotten to the wall by himself.
Almost looked like the 8 car had some front-end damage. Let's take another look, though. Oh, the 8 car did get into him, but it wasn't the cause of the accident.
Yeah, it was after.
Yep. Here's another look at it. Just a slight misjudgment there, and ooh, the 8 car turned the 19 in after that, and Mazzella, or excuse me, England did a great job, for the most part, collecting that car after the contact. See him working those hands in there. Let's ride on board. See in the bottom left-hand corner. Woo. Quite the wild ride there inside the cockpit.
Yeah, notably, we got pit stops underway here.
Darwin Meintz, one of the first drivers down, got some right front damage on that car, and that was from earlier contact. I don't remember who it was with. But Jeff Hollingsworth also on pit lane. He was in 4th prior to this pit stop sequence.
Yeah, now again, perfect time to come down. I think these guys are definitely planning for a 3-stop sequence here as we're halfway through the race.
And Cameron Rich back out on the racetrack. Dakota Ehrman to pit lane. From the lead, Jason Odom stays out. Eric Mickey inherits 2nd place right now. Cameron Rich now 2 laps down. This night he's just gone from bad to worse for that number 2. And obviously this is going to put him in a kind of a sketchy position for next week. I mean, he's been one of the quickest drivers each and every week, but I mean, that points cushion he had is now completely gone.
Yeah, pretty much so. It's gonna be. It's shaping up to be an outright race for the championship between. Odom way over speed into the pits, and he's going to get a speeding penalty.
In the 60 car?
The 48.
Oh, I was looking at the wrong car. Yeah, well, let's take a look at that and assess that penalty here. Oh, wow. That was very fast. Yeah, that's definitely going to be a penalty. And that's another shame. I mean, and he missed his pit box on top of that as well.
Yes, take the 48 out of the fight for the lead. It's probably going to fall a lot of positions to considering he has to come... considering he has to hold for, I believe, 15 seconds.
Oh, the 70 car missed his box big time, Finian, and he's struggling to get in it. That's going to be huge for Matt White. He's going to lose all the track position he gained back after the early slip.
Yeah, we are seeing a lot of drivers making mistakes on pit road.
So Odom has that penalty now for speeding. He'll probably serve it in the box. I wonder if that damage will affect Eric Mickey. Doesn't really look like it is. His lap times are pretty on point. But he's right in front of Jonathan Mazzella, and I expect to see these cars on pit road sometime soon. And they are definitely going to make at least one more stop, as you see a pass going on here for 6th place between Ehrman and England. So the top 3 cars have not pitted. Eric Mickey, Mazzella, and Morris. They're still out on the racetrack on their last set of tires.
Yeah, we should see them down, I believe, within 2 to 3 laps. I really don't think they can go much more than that. And actually, Eric Mickey, as they say that, he calls out on the radio, he's coming down a pit road.
And I believe that will probably bring Mazzella with him, as well as Morris. And we'll see. Maybe Mazzella stay out another lap. It looks like he will.
He's staying out, yep.
And will Thomas Morris follow through? Who looks like he's staying out as well. So Mickey gonna get the jump on Mazzella. I like that move, though, because obviously about almost 3 seconds a lap for the slower guys, the lap time difference between old and new tires. So 1 lap will get you about 2 seconds, and that will help Mickey leapfrog Mazzella and keep out in front. Ehrman in England running 6th and 7th right now. And Ehrman obviously lost a couple spots under that sequence as well. Didn't see what slowed him down, although it looks like it was the whole pit stop area in general. A 14.6 second stop, but a 43 second ride down pit lane. Pretty slow there, so wasn't maximizing his opportunities down in pit lane.
Yeah, I believe we saw Ehrman being very cautious on the pit road earlier compared to Vrabel, who completely went in hot and made up a lot of time. So again, these guys coming onto pit road is pretty important and can make up a lot of time on the track.
And speaking of on pit road, Mazzella and Morris are down to the last 2 cars to not make this their second pit stop of the night. And they are in. And so that will return the lead over to what will be Chuck Sweeting. And Thomas Morris is going to drop down the order. Jeff Hollingsworth has inherited 2nd place, though, with EWR's troubles. And that lone Toyota now in P2, 1.4 seconds behind Chuck Sweeting. For the most part, the field pretty spread out. Chad Brown and Matt White are running 11th and 12th right now. Let's check in on Cameron Rich. He's actually gotten ahead of Darwin Meintz in the number 3 car, so now Rich runs 13th. That means Eric Mickey is going to have to be 4th if he wants to tie Cameron Rich for the points lead at the moment. And still got some right front damage. Hasn't really taken a lot of time to fix that, unlike Vrabel in the 60, who took several seconds on his pit stop, about 12, I believe, to fix that right front damage, and that car is back up to speed running in P6. Mazzella and Wilson nose to tail now. Wilson in the number 28. Haven't talked a whole lot about David here tonight, but he's having a pretty solid run. Started in 15th, running 8th right now, and got 7th and 6th just up the road.
Yeah, trying to work on getting on Vrabel ahead of them. Sorry, that's the 93 of Mazzella getting around Vrabel.
And And for the lead, Hollingsworth is actually tracking down Chuck Sweeting, and not by an insignificant amount here, Finian, and I think it's only about a lap difference in the tires. So I don't really think it's up to the tire difference. I think Hollingsworth just has something going for him right now. Last time by, Sweeting's lap was a 40.2. Hollingsworth, it was a 39.8. That time by, again, 2/10 separating Sweeting and Hollingsworth is chasing down Chuck Sweeting for that spot.
Yeah, we're seeing Hollingsworth put in some good times, and remember earlier too, he was chasing down the leaders all by himself, so definitely some pace in that 97. We're going to see him potentially take the lead here.
And Dakota Ehrman in third is also coming pretty hot, 2/10 quicker than Hollingsworth and 4/10 quicker than Chuck Sweeting last time through, so that 49 car is coming, as well as the 19 of England. And quicker than everybody, Eric Mickey with that later pit stop was almost a full second quicker than your leader right now. Stuck in fifth, though, 3.5 seconds behind Dalton England.
Yeah, so Mickey going to have to really start putting in those quick laps to catch up to the leaders, but if he continues at the pace he's going at, he should be able to get there. And we've seen in the past that Mickey enjoys doing the overcut, and it's worked out for him pretty well.
So far, familiar names up, at least in the top 7 right now, Finian, all the way back to Vrabel, to drivers that we would all typically expect to be competitive, but the notable exception, again, and we keep talking about it, Cameron Rich stuck a lap down now in 13th place, and this is going to be really hard to recover from, and I don't expect a caution. We only have about 35 laps to go, and it's unlikely to see a yellow as he continues to let drivers by, and this is going to be the end of his championship cushion as he heads into the final round next week. And Rich will be at the stake of losing the championship to Eric Mickey, who's currently running 5th, and probably going to catch these lead group of cars here in a couple laps, as he's now almost a half a second quicker than everyone in front of him. And Hollingsworth has that lead back down to under a half a second now to Chuck Sweeting, and running about a lane higher on the racetrack as well. We haven't explored the differing lines just yet, but again, a lot of drivers tend to like that middle groove, and let's ride on board here and see if Hollingsworth will follow the 5 or if he'll go somewhere else.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious as to where he's going to go when he catches him, how Hollingsworth is going to deal with that.
And you see Hollingsworth drop about a lane below the 5 car there, trying to get the air on the nose. You see the rest of the field follow through. And Vrabel and Morris are going to be in a battle here for 7th place. Morris is going to be overtaking that number 60 car, and around he goes. And he will clear the 60 and try to pull up in front of him. It was a close moment there, but he's out in front now, and that'll put Thomas Morris in 7th place. Quickest of the top 5 right now is still Eric Mickey with a 39.8, a 40.4 for Sweeting, a 40.3 for Hollingsworth as Jeff closes in even closer with that number 97 Toyota Camry. 0.3 of a second separating the top 2. O'Reilly Auto Parts 97 car is looking really good tonight, and it looked good at Richmond a couple weeks ago as well, but didn't quite have the night he wanted to have. But tonight he's in a great spot to take over this lead, and he's far enough ahead of Eric Mickey that he might be able to hold on until the next pit stop sequence.
Yeah, indeed. It looks like Hollingsworth is starting to stall out his progress a bit now that he's caught up to Sweeting.
Yeah, last time by was only about 300ths quicker than Sweeting. It still is quicker. Now we'll have the help of a little bit of draft, but this is where that aero push will begin to be a thing if you follow directly in his tire tracks in the corners. On the straightaways, you're going to want to be out as far as away as you can from that aerodynamic interdependence there. And you see him again dragging the left front tire a little bit lower, but he pushes up mid-corner and struggles to get back on the power, drifts out wide on corner exit. That's not going to be a great exit for that 97.
Yeah, the driver's still making up huge chunks of time as Eric Mickey brought that gap from 8 seconds a few laps ago down to 4.5 seconds to the lead.
That's that's playing that overcut strategy. We saw this work out last night in the Virtual Racing League at Indianapolis, fitting another very fast track, and the overcuts tend to work out on a hot racetrack, and it worked out last night for Connor Horn in the Virtual Racing League. And as we say that, Mickey has caught Dalton England and will look for a pass here on the exit of turn number 4.
He gets to the inside of England and is going to have a more preferred line and has the fresher tires to make this pass. So this should be pretty easy for the number 8 car.
Yeah, I don't think this will be too much of a battle here. Again, Mickey has about 4 or 5 lap fresher tires than that number 19 Camaro, and he'll easily clear Dalton England and set his sights on Dakota Ehrman, who is now 2.8 seconds up the racetrack. But battle for the lead continues. Chuck Sweeting now trying to run away from Hollingsworth, who's still a little bit quicker, almost a tenth quicker. But this is where it gets tricky. We always say catching a guy's one thing, passing him's another. And Hollingsworth is definitely stalling out behind the 5 car.
I'm kind of curious what Hollingsworth is going to do here, if he's just going to ride in behind Chuck Sweeting, maybe try to ike him out on strategy, because remember, these guys do have to make one more pit stop before the end of this race, or will he try to pass him on the track?
Well, I think it would be smart to try to cut him at 1 lap sooner, but the problem is if you come in before him, that means that really Chuck Sweeting and everyone else around him could go a lot longer and get him with the overcut. So it's a strategical decision. If I were the 97, I'd probably want to come in right with the 5 car, keep him in sight. I know I'm quicker on the same amount of tires. Remember, these cars are only separated by 1 lap in strategy. So I think the 97's quicker, so I just follow the 5 car down as soon as he comes. And Dakota Ehrman waiting in the wings in case something happens here. But now, with that, Hollingsworth brings it now under a 1/10 and a half at the exit of turn number 2. Remember the 48 car's mistake, Finian all the way back in 10th place. What a disastrous final couple runs for that 48 team.
Yeah, and pretty much, and was a contender for the win for this race up until halfway, till that pit stop sequence where he came flying into pit road, got a speeding penalty, and that set him back again. Without a caution, he's not going to be able to recover from that, as he's over 20 seconds back from the lead.
And while this is going on, Dakota Ehrman is closing in. Sneaky, sneaky, sneaky. Less than a second now behind Hollingsworth, and he's been quicker than both these cars, about close to a 10th a lap the last few times.
And Eric Mickey behind in 4th has kind of stalled out his progress.
Oh, Hollingsworth down to pit lane here, Finian.
Ooh, interesting call there. And actually, yeah, that should be actually right on mark where these guys should be coming in.
And in he comes. I like this strategy. It's not necessarily what I would have done personally, but I like the gutsy call there. A perfect pit stall entrance. And now Chuck Sweeting will have to respond. We'll see if he comes in this time by, or if he won't let the 97 get the best of him. And we'll see if he stays out and maybe tries to play the overcut. Here he comes. Here he comes.
Yep, and actually Ehrman's going to follow in right behind, and Mickey's going to stay out, I imagine, for quite a bit more time. Really to maximize, I think he's going to probably try to come in around lap 70.
So yeah, so it's Sweeting now in and trying to respond to the 97's move. And he pulls into his box nice and cleanly. And, the 19 overshoots again, as does the 49, and big mistakes on pit lane, not only for the first time, but for a couple times for some of these drivers. And that's going to hurt them a lot. Eric Mickey out on the racetrack right now. He's probably going to stay out quite a bit longer and try to pull this overcut move even more. And I like where the 8 car has his head here.
Yeah, and Hollingsworth is just now passing Chuck Sweeting, and is going to effectively take the lead of this race once this whole cycle is out.
And you see Hollingsworth right there, and that is the difference. He was about a 10th behind the 5 car. Now he is about 2 seconds in front of him with only a slight difference in tire strategy. So Hollingsworth will cycle out to be the leader here in a couple laps in the lone Toyota Camry in the field.
Ooh, I think there might be a penalty coming for the 49 and Dakota Ehrman. If not, he's going to be very lucky. I think he might have come out just a little bit before the out-track line coming off turn 2.
Now let's take a look. You get a little bit of a slip up here, so if he didn't slip up too long, he should be okay there, Finian. I think iRacing gives you a little bit of leeway. They changed that after the people were a little bit angry about how strict it was. Yeah, so he should.
I thought it was still very strict.
Yeah, he should be okay. Although if you do abuse it, you will get a penalty. I think the 49 will be okay though. He's got Dalton England right on his rear bumper after all that. So we still have yet to see, let's see, the top 5 have still not made their final pit stop of the night. Neither has Cameron Rich, who's moved up to 10th, but obviously Cameron's going to lose a bunch of spots when he comes down. And as I say that, here he is on pit lane.
Yeah, Rich just trying to minimize the damage going into next week for tonight. Is still running out on the track. Has not got a caution to really help out a situation.
And Odom is also down in the M&M's number 48. And that night he's just gone from bad to worse after that pit stop mishap last time through. Chad Brown also on pit lane. Haven't talked... Oh, actually, he's not on pit lane. It's Cameron Rich that was in pit lane. Chad Brown has completed his pit stop, though. He's been out back on track for 3 laps. Haven't talked a whole lot about the 64 car tonight. It just hasn't been much to write home about. Not really a great night for that Guinness number 64. And hopefully you can turn things around next week. I'm curious to see where Eric Mickey ends up after all this. You see Cameron Rich coming back out on the racetrack there. But Eric Mickey might try to play this overcut much like what happened last night in the Virtual Racing League. If you haven't watched that race from last night at Indianapolis, you definitely should go back and watch the last couple laps, last 5 or so laps between Connor Horn and Eric Hutton. There was a spectacular pass with 2 laps to go. There was some contact involved and some hurt feelings one more time. So that was also involving an overcut situation. So we'll see what happens here in the closing 20 laps at Michigan for SCRS Stock Car round number 7. Matt White on pit road for one last time. Go ahead, Finian.
No, I am really curious of how much is Eric Mickey going to drag this out?
Well, I mean, I'd only drag it out as long as you can know, that you have enough time to run down the guys in front of you. And this is their 21st lap for the number 8 car. So I'd expect, yeah, here he comes right now. He's going to come on down and split this run. And actually, no, he's staying out. He's just letting the 2 car by, interestingly.
Yeah, I think that's probably because Rich has as much fresher tires to work with.
So the 8 car is planning. I thought he would split this run right down the middle, but he might go a little bit longer just to have extra fresh tires for that last run.
Yeah, there's a point where you start kind of losing time by staying out too long, and that's where I'm hoping that Mickey doesn't kind of shoot himself in the foot by doing this. You see the 8 car now 3.6 seconds up the road from Mazzella. Morris hanging on the 3rd. If a caution were to come out, they'd be in great position. I just don't think that that's likely, considering we've gone completely green from the first lap 73 laps ago, and now we have 18, now 17 laps to go. And I really don't expect much to change there in the caution category. Really, the interesting thing is that Hollingsworth has, again, stretched out his lead to 2.8 seconds over Chuck Sweeting. And this is kind of what I predicted. I thought the 97 was quicker before. He just needed a little bit of clean air, and he's gotten it and is driving away from the 5 car now. And Dakota Ehrman now 5 seconds back from Sweeting after his pit stop mishap, as well as Dalton England. Robbie Vrabel sitting in 8th at the moment that he'll cycle out to be 4th. So a good recovery for that 60 car, although I don't think he's come down and doesn't... Oh, hey, he has actually come down for his last stop, so he is good to go. Yeah, it's just been really struggling ever since getting into the wall, and then some mishaps on pit road. It's just not been a good day for him ever since then. Been stuck in 8th now, and been trying to improve. And I can imagine that almost half the field at this point probably wants a caution to come out. But as we've seen so far, and probably to the end of this race, as we are under 20 laps to go, I think it's going to pretty much go green here on out.
Yeah, and there's a certain point when the overcut becomes ineffective when you stay out too long, and because you can't really use those new tires.
Yep,
and here comes
staying out. Mickey's comes. Yeah, he comes in.
and he comes.
Yeah, so he's going to have 15 laps to try to chase down the leaders, and I don't think he'll be able to do so, but he should be able to make up at least a decent amount of ground. And this is kind of just more bigger picture here, just to maximize the amount of points that this number 8 car is going to get.
All right, so now that will turn over. As soon as the 93 and 99 come into pit lane, that will turn over the lead to Jeff Hollingsworth now. And that gap has actually come down a little bit. It's now 2.2 back to Chuck Sweeting. So Sweeting has gotten his ducks in a row, and that fourth gear screaming right now as he is running a little bit quicker, 2/10 that time up to Jeff Hollingsworth. But it's not going to be enough if he doesn't pick up the pace a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, Sweeting also, he came in only one lap after Hollingsworth, and I really don't think he's got the pace to make up that much time and within only 15 laps. I think this is kind of just fallen into Hollingsworth's hand.
Well, don't forget that Hollingsworth was quicker even on the older tires that he had earlier in this run. So I do think the 97 was quicker at the beginning, but he seems to have burned off his stuff a little bit. Now only 2 seconds out in front of Sweeting. So we'll keep an eye on this gap. If it's 2/10 a lap, I mean, he's going to need, what's he back, 2 seconds? So a quick math here, 5. He's going to need, he could do it, Finian, 10 laps is all that it would take to get there. But we've seen so many times tonight that once you get to the leader, you get stuck and you can't quite get by. And Thomas Morris returning to the racetrack now. He'll come out, I believe, in 8th place. And potentially 9th as David Wilson is up to speed and will roar around the outside of the 99 right around here. And Morris is not quite up to speed, so here comes the 28 around the outside. This will be a pass for 8th place if he can do it, but can't quite get there. So the 99 will maintain that 8th place for now, and maybe set his sights on chasing down Vrabel 6 seconds up the road. Jonathan Mazzella is into pit lane. He's the last guy to come on down with 13 to go. I question this a little bit because I don't think that overcut is going to quite work out. Gap between the leaders down to 1.7 seconds here, Fernandez. We talked last night at Indianapolis that we didn't think that Connor Horn would make that pass and have time to get there, but he did, and this might be a situation where Chuck Sweeting has just found something quicker, and he could get there. I mean, if he keeps going at this rate, he might have enough time to get there.
Yeah, he might indeed, so we'll keep track of this gap as we approach now almost 10 laps to go.
David Wilson side by side with Jason Odom, and Odom will take that spot away. But for the lead, you see there's Jeff Hollingsworth in the red number 97, and there is Chuck Sweeting last time by 2/10 quicker, down to 1.6 seconds. Guys, we're going to have a race on our hands here. We thought Hollingsworth would have this. He pitted 1 lap sooner, so his tire's only 1 lap older than Chuck Sweeting behind him, but I do think we're going to have a race on our hands here, especially with a little bit of lap traffic. That's Chad Brown in the Guinness Camaro just in front.
Yeah, we'll see how Hollingsworth is able to get around the 64. Will it actually be too much for the 97 to get by? Because again, has the older tires, has less options available, especially if the 64 is going to put up a bit of a fight, and he actually is. And is he going to be holding that 97 up? I'm
sure Hollingsworth is screaming on the radio right now to let him by, because this is holding him up now down to 1.5, probably be 1.4 seconds. There it is, 1.466, maybe even 1.3 by the time they get to the corner, because now he's got a car in his way, impeding the airflow to the front of that car and reducing the downforce. And there the 64 will pull over. Oh, no, and the 97 is going to drop in and try to get that draft. 1.3 now, 10 to go, now 9. As we close in on the end of round 7 of the SCRS Winter Stock Car Series, Hollingsworth trying to hang on, Chuck Sweeting charging from behind. He's going to be in his draft here soon enough, but now Hollingsworth gets by the 64. Now the question is, can he clear him? No, he's not. Contact between the leader and the lap-down car of Chad Brown as they make their way off of turn 2. That gap is going to shrink quickly as Sweeting closes in from behind.
Yeah, I'm sure Hollingsworth is probably not too happy with the 64. I mean, 64 is entitled to fight for his position, but I'm sure Hollingsworth's going to see it another way. That really held him up for quite a bit.
All right, let's see what the lap time difference is here at the line. So Jeff Hollingsworth, the number 97 Camry, your current leader, just ran a 40.737, or 721, excuse me, and Chuck Sweeting a 40.539, so 0.2 quicker again for Chuck, and now 1.1 seconds behind. So the 5 car is coming. He's only got about half the distance to make up that he had about 4 or 5 laps to go, and he's got 8 to go now, so it's still time for Sweeting to get there. This is when absolute precision is necessary by Sweeting. If you miss one corner, all that progress is gone.
Yeah, and I'm actually also kind of curious if he's going to be able to get around the 64 of Chad Brown with ease, or if Chad Brown's going to give him a bit of trouble.
And we're running a little bit higher lane here to carry the momentum. Was not that much quicker last time. It was only about a half of a tenth there, about 0.05 of a second.
Notably, Eric Mickey's caught the 19 adult in England. It's going to be a battle for 4th.
And again, this is an important pass here for Mickey as Cameron Rich is in 13th. That will tie them for the points lead at the moment. So Cameron Rich is stuck. He's got 9 seconds to make up to Chad Brown for a spot. Eric Mickey only has 5.3. He's probably not going to, or actually 2.9, excuse me. He's probably not going to get there, but it's possible that he might. And maybe come out of this race leading the point standings. Meanwhile, Hollingsworth has actually extended his lead back out on Sweeting, as Sweeting actually struggled to get by the 64 of Chad Brown.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like Sweeting's also going to start struggling here. The closer and closer he's going to get to Hollingsworth, I don't know. I don't really see Sweeting having enough. I think he's just going to be just a little bit short of Hollingsworth here.
5 to go here at Michigan. 10 more miles around. Can Hollingsworth hang on? And there is some more lap traffic just up the road. And I believe, if I can take a look at who it is it the 3 car that's just up the road? It is. It's Darwin Meintz in 14th. I don't think they're going to catch him.
No, I don't think they will. He's running only just a little bit, like only 0.3 slower than the leader, so I think he might stay out of this.
And we'll see what the lap times are this time through. So Sweeting had a great run going, but got stalled out, and it looks like that time through, pretty similar lap times, both 40.6s. Don't think either one of them is going to be slower or faster than the other, and right now it's Jeff Hollingsworth's race to lose, with now 3 laps to go when we get back to the line. Battle for 7th right now, Thomas Morris and Robbie Vrabel. And Morris has taken that spot away, I believe, but Vrabel is all over the rear bumper. No dice there for the 60 car. But meanwhile, out up front, though, Jeff Hollingsworth, let's talk about this race. It's been a very solid race tonight. No mistakes out of the 97. Started back in 5th and is just running away with this in the late going stages here. About 1 second back to Chuck Sweeting. But it's probably going to be a little bit too short unless there's a big mistake out of the 97. And again, we haven't seen it tonight. We didn't see it at Richmond a couple weeks ago either. And that 97 of Hollingsworth has just been so consistent. And it's his night here, Finney, and he just didn't make any mistakes. And it's time for him to claim a checkered flag. 2 more laps and 4 more miles to get this one done.
Yeah, and it's really pretty much been Hollingsworth's race for the later half of this race. And just put on pretty good performance, a solid, steady performance all night long, as we have pretty much, we're going to be going green flag to flag here. No cautions in this event. Hollingsworth's been the most consistent, and that's why he's out in the lead ahead of Chuck Sweeting, as he's going to come now on the front straight. He's going to take the white flag this time by.
Well, for a lot of times they say, Finian, that you're safer in a crowd, and it seems like the Chevy guys have taken to that this season, as the Camaros have been the dominant force, but for a couple drivers, they like to run something different. And for the 99 of Thomas Morris, it is that Ford Mustang. And for Jeff Hollingsworth, it is that Toyota badge on the front, the Toyota Camry nameplate. The only one in the field tonight, all by himself, is going to come through turns 3 and 4 here at Michigan. 1 second up the road from a couple dominant Camaros, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 of them behind. But out of turn 4, Jeff Hollingsworth and the number 97 Toyota will bring another one home, and he'll win at Michigan Speedway here tonight in the SCRS Winter Stock Car Series.
Yeah, Chuck Sweeney's going to come up just a little bit short. However, a second behind, he's going to finish in second. Then Dakota Ehrman's going to come across the line in third. Eric Mickey is going to finish fourth, and it's going to tie, or should tie, with Cameron Rich heading into the final round next week. And that's going to be a hell of a race to watch, as pretty much these guys are going to be in even ground.
So, dead even on the points. Unofficially, we'll get a double check on that, but unofficially, Eric Mickey and Cameron Rich are tied for the points lead heading into the last race of the season next week. See Cameron Rich blowing his motor there as he gets slowed down. Jonathan Mazzella comes home P6. Morris 7th, as we mentioned. But the rest of the field coming across the line, and Darwin Mintz in the number 3 car crosses the line. He's the last car on his lap, so he will finish in 14th place. Not a great night for the 3 of Darwin Mintz. Jake Champion will finish last night after losing connection 53 laps ago. Hollingsworth the winner, and will do burnouts here. I believe is this his first win of the season here, Finian? Because he certainly looked like he's won a lot more.
Nope, yep, it's his first win of the season.
In a big cloud of smoke. He'll burn it down here at Michigan. After 180 miles of racing, the quickest one tonight was the 97 of Jeff Hollingsworth. We'll talk to him and a couple other drivers here in a few moments. Stay with us. Welcome back live here to Sim TV. We're here now with race winner Jeff Hollingsworth, driver of the number 97 O'Reilly Auto Parts Toyota Camry. Jeff, what a race tonight. No mistakes, solid for 180 miles, and came home with your first victory of the season. First of all, congratulations. And second of all, walk us through that race.
Thank you, sir. Walk you through the race. Just listen to my teammates. Pitted when they told me to pit, and that's what got it at the end there. I dove in the pit before Chuck knew I was doing it, and I think that's what won the race. But just being consistent and no not hitting anything.
Were you a little bit worried in the closing stages of the race when you saw Chuck bring that lead back down, or did you know that you'd probably have enough pace to outrun him at the end?
Nah, because I remember chasing him at the end there, man. You just, that distance just stays with the tire wear. So I knew I had it. The only time I was kind of worried was when I ran up on the lap car and he wasn't really letting me by. I mean, he doesn't have to. He's trying to stay on the lead lap. But other than that, I knew I could keep it till the end. If we had a lot longer to go, Chuck probably would have closed because he's that good.
All right, Jeff. Well, congratulations and good luck next week. One more race to get another victory on the season. It was a fantastic time watching you go out there and beat Chuck. Thanks for talking to us.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for hosting. Thanks for Thomas and everybody that puts this league on. It's a lot of fun. And shout out to my boys, Robbie Dalton and Jake and Andy, who couldn't be here. And y'all have a good week.
You too, Jeff. Thanks a lot. All right, next we're going to talk to second place Chuck Sweeting. Chuck made it just in time. Quite the race he had there with Jeff at the end, but came up just short. What'd you need to get by the 97?
I don't know. I threw everything at it this race. I've known Jeff for a long time, and he's good. He doesn't make mistakes. It's nice to see him get a win. And I don't know. He snookered me on that last pit stop, pitting a lap before me, and I gained to a point like he was doing on me earlier in the race, and then just you get to that point and you can't gain on him anymore. I don't know what the deal is with these tires, but it was a fun race, good clean race.
When you were closing in on Jeff those last couple laps and he got the lap car in the way, did you try something different, like maybe exploring with different lines, or were you pretty stuck to that middle groove?
I did try a little bit, but I never could pick up any time over the middle groove, and sometimes you can get the lefts on that bottom lane, and it'll make the car rotate a little bit, but it also has less grip, so it rotates, but then it loses the grip and still wants to slide up toward the wall. So yeah, I mean, I tried everything. I didn't really try running higher. Maybe I should have, but I tried everything else that I could think of, and just wasn't enough tonight.
All right, Chuck. So one spot short, but a great finish for you regardless. We'll see you next week. Thanks for talking to us.
All right, thanks a lot.
All right, next we'll talk to third place Dakota Ehrman. Dakota, good race for you, but a couple mistakes took you out of the running for the win and you came home P3. So are you disappointed with that or pretty happy with the top 5 result for tonight?
I'm extremely frustrated. We had, I would want to say, the fastest car out there. We ran people down from 5 seconds back after that second stop, and just throw it out the window again by just sliding through my stall again for the third time, and then being too far right and having to adjust around it. It all just kind of came back to bite me, and it's frustrating. But we'll come back next week and hopefully be just as strong.
All right, Dakota. I want to ask you one more thing though, real quick. Do you think that having a caution or two mid-race would have helped your situation, or do you think the longer runs were better for your performance?
Personally, I was faster on the longer run than I was the shorter run, but I was still pretty quick on the short run. So I think either way that went, I would have been happy. It was a shame that Jason Odom, he had a penalty, mid-race, and a caution mid-race probably would have helped him out. Matt White, my other teammate, he ran into problems and pretty early on, and I know a caution would have really helped him. Would have changed the pace of that race dramatically if we were just racing to a caution or something of that sort. But it was a good race overall for how it turned out, and I was really proud of still the performance we put on. I was running a memorial car, and I was really happy that we could put it up there and do well for him.
All right, Dakota, thanks for talking to us, and good luck next week.
Thank you.
All right, next let's talk to the man of the hour. That will be Eric Mickey, driver of the number 8 Camaro. Eric, a great race for you, and if I'm not mistaken, that should tie you for the points lead with Cameron Rich, or at least it's within a point or two. So obviously a great performance for you tonight, but it helped that Cameron Rich finished 13th, 1 lap down. Walk us through your night.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never really been comfortable at the old Michigan. At the new Michigan, it's been a struggle for me here. So early on, I realized that I just wasn't going to have the straight-up pace to compete with a handful of the guys out front. And thankfully for my result, a few of them had pit issues, I assume, because they kind of fell apart there at the end. And I was able to do well enough, and then I just went off strategy because I figured I wasn't going to beat them doing exactly what they did, and didn't end up falling my way, but I was hoping for some luck, and yeah, I don't know, did everything I could to try to close that gap down to Cameron, and I'm 6 points behind him.
All right, so as we head into next week, does your driving style change at all? I mean, obviously you're a little bit closer than you were, so does that change how you approach next week, or is it same old, just try to go out and win?
I think mainly it just changes that instead of not racing some of the guys, I probably wouldn't race too hard, thinking that they might just be a bit quicker than me. I'm gonna have to do it. If I win next week, Cameron's still got to finish 7th or worse for me to win that championship from him. So it's still a long shot if you look at his finishes, but if whatever was plaguing him tonight carries over, I thought he was racing in a full body cast or something with what he was out there tonight. So I don't know what went wrong with him tonight, but I don't expect him to be off the pace next week. But Homestead, I couldn't be asking for a better track for myself to be going to try to get this championship done.
Yeah, actually, so what happened to Cameron Rich early in the race, actually smacked the wall at a turn 2 all on his own, was very unusual of Cameron. So that's what put him back early and ended up trying to, he came back down a second time on pit lane for another reason. We're not quite sure what that was for. It didn't look like it was a penalty, but that's what put Cameron behind. And if it happens again next week, Eric, you're going to be in the catbird seat. Thanks for talking to us, and we'll talk to you next week at Homestead.
Yeah, guys, thank you very much. Thanks for coming out tonight.
No problem. And last but not least, let's talk to Cameron Rich, our points leader. And Cameron, tonight was not a great night. Obviously got in the wall early and then had to make a second pit stop earlier as well for other issues. But walking out of here still in the points lead into next week at Homestead. What are your thoughts on tonight and next week?
Oh, yeah, tonight sucked pretty hard. Just bonked the wall there. Just got some aero push, and, you know, when you get that so close behind another car, there's not much you can do, and I just, you know, pow. And got a blend line penalty there, so never got the chance to get the time back because I obviously went caution free. And I think if I was able to fix the car and, you know, just get that time back, I would have had a chance to do something well, because I feel like I still had some speed in the car. But, you know, one of those days, you have them every now and again.
Well, next week at Homestead Speedway, obviously a good track for you, but as we take a look at Homestead versus Michigan, there are some similarities, there are some differences. I think one of the differences is that it's a very wide track in terms of that you can race it pretty much anywhere. So in stark contrast to tonight, do you prefer where you can run every line on the racetrack, or do you like racetracks that have only one line and whoever's the best at it is the quickest?
You know, a couple of months ago, I would have said the latter on that, but I've kind of doing some dirt racing here and there, and I think I've gotten better at it, and it's kind of helped me with that whole line searching stuff on both dirt and asphalt. So I really like to just search around for the grip and, you know, just kind of see where I can run and make speed up, because I think that's really fun. And Homestead, it's been you know, one of those tracks that's always it's either been really good for me or really awful. So hopefully I'll get really good next week. But it's been a fun season, just this little fun league. I've really enjoyed my time here. It's been pretty competitive, even though, you know, not many have been showing up lately. But, you know, it's been fun regardless.
All right. Well, thanks for talking to us, Cameron. We'll see you next week. Good luck out there.
Thanks, guys.
And with that, that'll wrap up interviews tonight. Finney, and a caution-free race again for these guys. Spectacular racing, but Hollingsworth comes home in the lone camera tonight, victorious at Michigan. Great race all around. Obviously not exactly a nail-biter at the end, but Jeff certainly earned that one.
Yeah, definitely one of the most consistent drivers tonight, just consistently putting in some good laps. Was a sleeper earlier on in the first half of the race, but really stepped up in the second part to take the lead away, do some good pit strategy to get ahead of Chuck Sweeting, and never really had to look back afterwards. So just a solid job by him, and also just a slight correction, as we said earlier, to the points that Mickey is 6 points behind Chuck Cameron Rich due to drop weeks being included.
So that matters.
Yeah. Yeah. Next week cannot be a drop week, so it's going to be purely trying to get those 6 points. Mickey's going to be trying to get those 6 points over Cameron Rich, so it's going to be a tall order, but we'll see if he can do it.
All right, next up on SimTV Tuesday night is the Track Midwest Porsche 911 Cup Series. They're going to be racing in Sonoma, California. Last week, they smashed SimTV records. 850 plus views on that video now from last week, so we're aiming to have another turnout like that again on Tuesday. So be there or be square, 8:45 p.m. EST on Tuesday. And then I believe we're off until Friday again for the Hardline Cup Series action. And then Saturday, Virtual Racing League Chase action from Watkins Glen in upstate New York. That will be on iRacing Live on Saturday night, so be with us there as well. Thanks for watching from Michigan Speedway, from Kyle Heyer and Finian DeCuna and SimTV. We'll see you on Tuesday. Thanks for watching.